Hi there, it's Marilyn Hawes again. I'm actually overseas at the moment, so I'm 4 hours behind the UK. So if you don't recognise my background, and I hope the internet's going to behave itself, so let's go for it. So with Unprecedented TV and my programme called Heart and Soul, I'm also CEO of Freedom from Abuse, a child abuse charity over in the UK, dealing with all types of abuse. So you'll find me, if you put my name into Google or YouTube, Marilyn Hawes, Freedom from Abuse. But for Heart and Soul, I'm inviting anybody with a very interesting story to tell, who's had a tragic incident in their life, whatever. Anything you think that people don't want to talk about or even would find interesting, because it's a side of life maybe people haven't heard before that could be quite educational, interesting, which we did last week on a film cameraman. And if you've got a situation you want to discuss, then just get in contact with Unprecedented TV and I'll have a chat and we'll get you on the show. So thank you very much. So we then discuss, as I say, the program, the issues that people, elephant in the room type stuff. So we kick the elephant out the room and give this thing more airtime. Now, this morning, I want to welcome a gentleman who's been on before, a guy called Julian King, who is a former Met Police detective, and he also runs a thing on domestic abuse and family courts. But this today is going to be a real eye-opener. Let me just explain briefly before I introduce him, because he sent me loads of stuff. So I've taken some stuff out of his narrative. So this is his statement. For the past 4 months, central London has seen the rise of vigilantes who film themselves confronting alleged pickpockets, almost always young, vulnerable foreign women. These vigilantes use red self-defense spray as a weapon, covering women's faces and hair and clothing. They shout at them, they drag them and humiliate them on camera. Despite multiple complaints, the police response has been weak. Inexperienced officers, copycat vigilantes, and the violence has escalated. The situation is now dangerous, unlawful, and out of control. And bear in mind, this is central London, okay? So one in the eye for Sadiq Khan, who thinks that everything is going so well in his neck of the woods. So over to you now, Julian, take it away, as we say. Good morning, and thank you so much for coming on.
For inviting me, and happy to tell you a bit more.
Can you explain then, who are these vigilantes and what kind of content are they creating for social media?
Well, just to start off with, this is one of my many other hats that I wear. I'm the founder of Street Safe London, which is a volunteer-led organisation. And we've got to the stage now where, you know, we are working in central London and trying to protect our tourists. And this is something that's come to our attention and that we've been raising with the police for over 4 months now. And what we had originally, a couple of years back, you would start off with auditors, these content creators who I call them, you know, nuisance auditors. They would go around creating incidents, winding up police officers or members of the public for clicks and views. Now, a lot of that now is really sort of, you know, last year. So they've got to find new ways of getting views. And the latest sort of craze is this, I would say, branch where they now purport to be pickpocket hunters, and they will go around and literally spray suspected pickpockets, mostly young women. And unfortunately, the mainstream media have actually, you know, pushed this and supported the main vigilante in London, who's a Brazilian national, who's actually a delivery rider who cycles around with food around central London. So he will see the same people every day. And pickpockets, shoplifters, they're now 10 a penny. You know, they are literally everywhere. So you know, he's been sort of hailed as a hero. There was a double page spread in the Daily Mail. You know, the bottom line is, you know, he's not preventing crime. It's harassment and assault for entertainment. And the police, despite, you know, having several crimes reported to them, have not dealt with it. And every time we've provided more incidents, these are actual crimes that are being committed. It's not just antisocial behaviour. You know, we're talking assault, the use of the spray is an offensive weapon, criminal damage, and some of these women are being sprayed day after day. You know, so we're not talking about single incidents. They're being harassed. You know,
can I just ask you?
Sorry, yes.
What is in this red spray? Is it like pepper spray? I mean, pepper spray is illegal because it's a firearm for the police.
No, pepper spray is illegal.
Yeah.
This is a spray which you can buy on Amazon. I'm not going to give out the brand because there are various brands out there. But what they're using it as is as an offensive weapon rather than in self-defense. Now, the only way you can legally use that spray is if, say, for instance, somebody has got their hands around your throat, you're up against the wall, and you can spray, you know, 1 or 2 seconds, you know, in the face to distract them while you run away. Anything else is offence, okay? And even if you used it in self-defence, it doesn't mean you're not going to be arrested. You can still be arrested and interviewed. Now, what these people are doing, they're literally spraying a whole can of spray. And in one of the videos which I've sent you, you will see this vigilante, Mr. Galdino, spraying a lady and dancing around her while he empties a whole can on her, and she goes to the ground, and there's a crowd looking on and jeering. It's entertainment. You know, this is not crime prevention. Now that is just a mild one, you know.
Whereabouts, Julian, when you say
yes,
tie it down, you say central London. London's a huge place. I mean,
in the West
I've
End
seen these videos. I'm absolutely horrified.
Yes.
I mean, where is, you think, is there a more sort of a part that has got more of this than another?
He operates around the Westminster area mainly.
Oh, right, so right where the heart of politics is.
Yes.
Shame he can't do it to Keir Starmer.
Yes. You know, we've raised this. Other people have raised concerns because some of these women, you know, have been trafficked. You know, they've been perhaps forced to, you know, do this kind of work. And bear in mind that the government is pushing VAUG, violence against women and girls. They've done nothing in this case. And they're making excuses saying, well, nobody wants to actually, you know, come forward as a victim. However, they haven't actually looked. And at the same time, what they're doing is by not even taking any, you know, affirmative action, this guy is getting lots of views. He's actually got a GoFundMe for £40,000. Yes, which is receiving just because viewers want to see him spraying paint. Plus, he's got the monetization. And what's happening now is these content creators are getting together. You know, they're all around Europe, you know, so he will travel to Germany. We'll have Dutch content creators coming over here, and they're working more together as a team now because it creates a greater impact. Now, interestingly, one of the videos is Mr. Galdino videoing himself responding to a phone call he'd received from the police, where he's effectively saying, listen, I don't care, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And what he says is that the police officer gave him friendly advice in quotation marks, where actually he should be arrested, because there's a large series of these offences, and we're saying, well, what if these were sex workers? Would you also, not arrest Mr. Galdino, for a series of offences? Because ultimately, some of these, pickpockets are probably genuine pickpockets, shoplifters, but that doesn't mean you should humiliate them. If you're doing this properly, then what you would do is you would detain them and hand them over to the police, and what's happening, I've noticed, is that they're sort of setting up situations now, and they seem to be embellishing, such as, this person has attempted to get into somebody's backpack, but you don't see that on the video, where everything else is videoed. And of course, when police hear this, they're turning up on blues and twos, which creates, more good content. And, these suspects are just let go. There's no evidence. However, to members of the public who may not know what's actually going behind the scenes, they see him, he's a hero, he's catching pickpockets. But I don't think there's one pickpocket that's actually been convicted as a result of their efforts.
What is in this? Is it just paint, or has it got something chemical and dangerous in it as well that could cause actual harm?
It's a red dye, but it stains your face for several days. Your clothing. You'll see on the videos I've sent you a lady who's got her whole face has been sprayed, and he's just committed a sustained attack on her, chasing her. And this is not when they've actually been found in the act of committing any offences. This is just them walking down the street, So, not good.
So you're seeing the escalation because other countries are now coming over, like Germany or whatever. Is that what's causing the escalation? Because, as you say, they've now got a bigger body of people.
Not so much. What they're doing is because they're becoming recognised more in their own country, they're going to other cities, in Europe. And it's the same with the pickpockets. They will travel around Europe. They're organised. It's basically organised crime, But as I say, in this country, he's the main guy. I think he's been going probably for maybe 6 months or more at the moment. And the reason that it's continuing is, you've got to lay the blame right at the foot of a superintendent at Charing Cross Police Station, who I wrote to personally.
And Charing Cross Police Station has been in the press media before, haven't they? So there's something fundamentally wrong with the leadership there at that particular police station, the superintendent there. It's because it does. I mean, I always say a fish rots from the head down. So if the guy at the top is crooked and lazy or whatever, it goes through the whole force. I mean, have you heard from the superintendent at all?
What they do, and it's not just superintendents, because this is the new breed of police officers. They've joined under the new system, and they're now at higher levels where they've got very little knowledge, skills and experience, because they joined under the graduate scheme. So what happens is, the majority of these, including, you can't even become a detective going through the, through the regular process now. You have to have a degree first, and then you go on the direct entry detective scheme. And we found that ultimately they don't know what they're doing, and they're being promoted too quickly. So you had some that will join the police because, hey, I can get a degree, get paid for it, and after 3 years or whatever, I'm off. Thank you very much. And they go and get another job. So, we're not getting any experience really going up the ranks, and there's very little thinking outside the box. And what I see is there's no leadership. What I see is there are managers, and every time you raise something with the manager, all they do is they delegate it. So this is a case where I don't think the superintendent has really appreciated the seriousness of this situation. We're right on the doorstep of Parliament here, and we're giving a poor reputation to our country, because they will see all these videos, and what they do is they delegate. So the first time it was delegated to a sergeant in a control room, and then what I got was a really long-winded emails, effectively fobbing me off. Yes. And I pushed it so much, she eventually said, I've asked him to come in, to the police station, and I'll have a word with him, It's just continued. So as further offences have continued, I've created more fuss about this. Yeah. So the next thing that happens is the only way I could get any sort of response from them was to publish some of these photographs of the women that have been sprayed on X, and I named the superintendent. Okay, so the next thing that happens, I get an email from an inspector, and it looks as though he's recently been promoted, because he was a sergeant before, I recall the name. And effectively, he says, I've been passed this by, the superintendent, blah, 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 blah. And again, it was really a bit of a fob off letter, but saying, they'd look into it, and, et cetera, et cetera. It was pretty much, not very, encouraging.
They have a great gift, don't they, in writing screams of letters. I mean, I get them all the time, like 2 pages of A4, which actually tells you nothing. They are adept at writing gobbledygook that actually tells you nothing. I think it's a skill. I think it must be a degree in itself, because it just evades the point completely. And I've had to go back. I use my MP a lot, and I have to say, when the letter comes back from somebody in Parliament, I go, can you explain what this says? Because it's not telling me anything other than the fact that you're a total moron, because you can't actually put something together correctly. I mean, why? What is it then that stops these ladies? Is it only ladies, or is it men as well?
What I found is, I think they're a bit cowardly, and they target the vulnerable young girls, ones that can't speak. Although I've looked at some videos, and you can see where they're trying to report matters to a police officer regarding the vigilante spraying them, but they obviously can't really communicate effectively.
You're not gonna steal people anymore, yeah? Here is not a place for you to steal the people, yeah? Change your ejaculate after here, yeah? Don't come to Victoria and Pimlico for stealing the people, yeah? Here is not the place for you stealing. Yes, get mad. You gonna spray on me? It's finished. Idiot. Don't come here for stealing people, yeah? Don't come to Victoria and the Big Ben, Westminster, for stealing people. Come back to your country, your rats. Ladra. Fuori ladra. Attention guys, pickpockets. You know what's gonna happen, right? No, not running, no running. Attention guys, pickpockets inside of the store. Pickpocket. Come outside. He won. Yeah. Don't come here. Don't come here stealing, yeah? Don't come here stealing. Yeah, he's stealing people. Look. Yeah, today you're not gonna steal anymore. Take the bus, otherwise you're going to Charing Cross Station, yeah?
Yeah, but you're standing there covered in red paint. It's obviously something's happened.
Yes, this was on a different occasion, okay, where he's just stopped them and called police anyway. Yeah,
right.
He tries to get them searched, you know, in the hope that they might find something on them. Going back quickly to the inspector at Charing Cross. Now, you would have thought after all of this, he might take personal responsibility, you know, for investigating these matters. But again, no. He's delegated it to someone. Okay, so and they can't tell me what they're doing, you know, and they won't update me. Okay, so I suspect not much is happening and not quickly, because if they had done, we would not have had this horrendous violent disorder incident on Westminster Bridge a couple of days ago. Okay, so that tells me he is again he was just one of the content creators, but he led them onto the bridge, and he effectively was sticking two fingers up to, you know, to the police, because on this occasion he's holding 2 cans of red spray whilst he's running on the bridge, and what they're trying to do is attack a group of cup and ball scammers, you know, on the bridge. And it is just absolute mayhem. Plenty of people were, you know, sprayed. You can see an old lady falling over. You know, it was just chaos. Now, there's been previous concerns about this bridge. There's been articles written by various people. This is probably the most lawless, you know, piece of land, you know, in the country, which is on the doorstep of Parliament and within sight of New Scotland Yard. Yes. And I've been trying to find out, well, why can't you deal with any of this stuff? Because this has been going on for decades. Some of the organised crime and criminality on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
And it falls to nobody really taking responsibility, because you've got 5 organisations that effectively cover that bridge. You've got Lambeth Police on one side, you've got Westminster Police on the other, and they only do half of the bridge each. So you see an officer from Westminster coming over. Oh, I'll step over the line onto the Lambeth side. You know, see somebody coming from Lambeth. Oh, I'll step over onto the other side. You've got 2 councils. Lambeth Council on one side, Westminster Council on the other. Both have separate, I suppose, licensing departments. Then you've got Sadiq Khan, Transport for London, who's also responsible for that bridge. What are they all doing? Oh. Well, you know, I think really, you know, we've come to a head now. So especially following this incident, you know, which could have been easily prevented. So this weekend, if anybody wants to come along, you'll actually see me on the bridge, okay, as part of Street Safe London, and doing our own little thing there to try and keep very safe. Sorry?
You've got your T-shirt with your logo on. That's it.
Yes, there we are.
So you'll be wearing that at the weekend as well. So.
Well, you won't miss us, because we'll be wearing high visibility clothing, and we'll be doing our own thing. And because I very much doubt that the police have even bothered to conduct any inquiries regarding this incident, we'll do our own investigation, and we'll continue doing it until we can, until the police will actually take this matter on, and we'll just forward all our information onto the police. And what I think we'll do now, because they've had it quite easy, because, you know, they could have dealt with all these matters in one go. but they tried to avoid everything. It was, you know, you've got to laugh at this. You know, this was a sergeant in the control room who I suspect is probably of one of these, you know, new entry schemes. Okay, from the way, you know, the email was written to me. We tried to report a crime by the same vigilante, and he's now spraying a middle-aged lady who's near Tower Bridge, and we've given them the video, and their response was a different area. You know, it's the neighbouring police borough. You know, Metropolitan Police is one police force. So hang on a second. You know, if you have a series of offences, even if it covers 2 or 3 boroughs, you know, one officer deals with it. You know, so again,
I think
goes in the way.
Julian, some of this I think is downright laziness as well. They don't want to do the paperwork. I mean, a relative of mine literally crashed the car on the M1 about 2-3 years ago and ended up on the hard shoulder. Couldn't see the person at all. I rang the police, Bedfordshire Police, and they wouldn't do anything because it was half a mile out of their area. And they wouldn't go over the boundary. I mean, I said, that person could be dead. I don't know. We can't see them. They've crashed the car. The lorry's driven off and they're on the hard shoulder. No, not our responsibility. Well, it is if you're policing. I mean, where is the passion? Where is the passion? I mean, you were a police officer. You were a detective. You take this oath, don't you, about what you're supposed to be doing. And none of them is sticking to it. I mean, it's absolutely dreadful. So you would think the superintendent of Charing Cross Police would feel shame, wouldn't you? You'd think, but they don't seem to have any accountability at all for the job that they're doing.
You know, I was at New Scotland Yard. I was a detective on the International and Organised Crime Group when it was at the old building opposite St James's. It's now on the actual Thames. You know, they've moved, you know, I've been discussing matters with colleagues, you know, and they're saying, you know, it's not the same police force, you know.
Well, it's the same everywhere because the recruitment is awful as well.
Yes. I mean, my personal view about why this isn't being done, it usually falls into 3 categories, and I think all 3 are applicable in this case. You have laziness or incompetence, and then you have the third nasty factor of corruption. And that corruption, in this case, is quite simple. You know, they've covered for each other to avoid dealing with this case. That keeps the crime figures artificially low.
Yes.
And that is corruption. Okay. Yeah. Because if you can't monitor things properly, you don't know where to send your resources and what to focus on. Okay.
And are these vigilantes, out of interest, and may I be forgiven for probably being told I'm racist, but I'm not, would some of these vigilantes, a lot of them be illegal migrants?
I don't know about illegal migrants, but what I have found is that they are the ones that I'm working on at the moment regarding, you know, the pickpocketing stuff. They are foreign. That's all I'm going to say. I won't say, you know, which countries they come from. But what I will say with regards to the criminality on Westminster Bridge, that appears to be Romanian mainly. But you do have various others. But in the main, it appears to be, you know, Romanian organised crime and quite often illegal migrants.
Well, there we go. I mean, have you also contacted, because this is I find with my work, I go round and round the lamppost, and then I'm sent down the street to go round and round another lamppost, and nobody basically is cocking their leg up against the lamppost. Do you know what I mean? And standing out there. I mean, have you been to the National Crime Bureau, NCB, NCA, National Crime Agency? Are they any better?
It's very difficult, you know, approaching these people because, you know, I've done some, you know, research. I mean, just give me 1 second. I just got a document I just wanted to show you. Where can I put it? Sorry, you know me, covered in paper. Right. Now, this will make you laugh, okay? Now, the problems on the bridge have been going on for decades, okay? And every now and again, they would do like a little operation, you know, but it doesn't work. But looking at, I don't know if you can see that there. It's a Metropolitan Police document.
All right.
And it says Operation Westminster Bridge. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I can't remember the date of this one, but when you actually look through it, it's absolute nonsense. Look, they're putting on, you know, copies of TripAdvisor reviews where people are complaining. They're showing how the cup and ball scam works and gives a bit of history, you know, going back centuries and blah blah bloody blah, and then this operation had apparently been going on for, I don't know, 10 months or more. There was an average arrest of 1.5 persons per week, or was it month? Okay. And apparently they did this in partnership with Home Office Immigration Enforcement. It says on the first operation, they were overwhelmed by the amount of people detained and eligible to be served potential removal notices. They grew to be the single biggest partner agency, usually matching local police officer numbers. However, when I submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Immigration Department, they've got no information about them being involved in, you know, any of these operations. Then we've got Westminster Borough. As the operation grew, you know, the Bishop's team was supplemented by a dedicated team, blah, 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 British Transport Police, local security, special constables, interpreter services, Romanian officers from the Organised Crime Command. Okay. So this operation, which, you know, I won't say it was a success, because it wasn't, you know, it's not a success, you know, it's something that was, you know, was going on for several months, so that if any questions were asked, you know, at the mayor's question time or whatever, Sadiq's question time, you know, they can come back and say, oh, you know, we're doing, you know, an operation on the place. But also another indication that the person that put this operation together, or filled it out with a lot of pictures, entitled it Operation Westminster Bridge. Who entitles an operation in relation to a particular place? You always use, you know, a name, you know. So this
is so similar, though, to county lines. County lines is rife around Westminster. You know, you don't have to look far. I mean, it is dreadful. And of course, if ethnicity is involved, then, as you say, they want to not probably report, because they are so sensitive, still sensitively, stupidly sensitive about people's ethnicity coming out in the press. So I think they'd rather not report it, or they'd rather not record it. And that is police corruption as well, is it, to not report or record a report of a crime is, I mean, I don't know. They do know who these people are. They absolutely do know. And they're just lying all the time. I mean, what are the key concerns then? What are the key concerns? When you say the commissioner, are you talking about Sir Mark Rowley? Are you talking about the Victims' Crime Commissioner? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Mark Rowley at the moment. Yes. Because what he did was
in the same club as Sadiq Khan and Dharma, isn't he?
Yes. He put out a while ago an article about getting rid of incompetent senior officers.
Oh yes, basically. He did. Yes.
And you know, letting them go early with a bit of a package. You know, you know, I think I might have to suggest that the superintendent at Charing Cross, you know, is perhaps, you know, offered early retirement because
they're useless at their job, and then they get a fat pension. That can't be right. It's not right.
Well, I think the first thing that should happen is that the superintendent should be looked at for discipline, for not doing her job properly, failing to supervise.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't just keep, you know, delegating. And, you know, it's not only the Metropolitan Police, we're right in the centre. This is Westminster, you know.
Yes.
At the police station has, you know, been in the press before. And I would, you know, from what I saw about the previous matters there, I believe it was down to a lack of supervision and leadership.
It's the lack of leadership that people don't know how to be, you know, leaders anymore. And I mean, because it's the innocent people that are crossing the bridge and walking around and see this stuff happening. I mean, you know, it's absolutely undermining trust in the police and the justice system, isn't it? I mean, there isn't one. It's just like feral out there, really. It's every man for himself. It's absolutely dreadful. I mean, I don't like going into London anymore because I'm so scared of what's around, what's coming around the corner, you know, and these Deliveroo drivers and everything. I just think it's awful. So, I mean, when I can't remember how you said about the cup and ball thing for the listening public. How does that work, and how is that a scam?
Well, again, this is one of these things where I say you should be thinking outside the box, okay? Because what happens is, I'll send you a picture, because we actually disrupted a cup and ball team ourselves with just 2 people, plain clothes. We went up, we got all their photographs, and what we do is we just blow whistles, yeah? And they would just wander off, okay? You don't need this massive, you know, mayhem that happened, you know, a couple of days ago. It's all, you know, for clicks and views. Now, the cup and ball scam, it's gone on for years. In fact, I think if you look on YouTube, there's our Romanian cup and ball teams that have been doing this for donkey's years. You know, I think probably 10, 15 years.
I've seen it in London. I've never known. I've never stopped. I've just thought you look dodgy. I don't know how it works though.
It is actually a fraud. Okay, so what happened? I mean, what should happen but doesn't is that, for a number of reasons, usually resources, is you should really arrest the whole team, because what happens is you probably have about 8 people there as part of the team. We've got you know, some photos, but it could be as, you know, as little as, you know, maybe 4, and they will they're stooges, you know, so they will win sometimes, you know, and money would go back and forth, and they will entice visitors in, you know, to bet, and it's usually minimum £50 or €50. They can make £1,000 in an hour, okay? The last stunt that I remember from the Met Police, which again I think it was a publicity thing to show that they were doing something, was an inspector and one of his officers from Lambeth side. I actually think they're more proactive than the Westminster side. Dressed up as Batman and Robin, okay, and ran along the bridge and arrested the scammer and I think one other person. But again, I think this is just for the, you know, the TV. These guys are only charged with having items for use, you know, in gambling. Not much is going to happen with them. Whereas what should really happen is, you know, you have an operation, you identify all the people and you arrest them all. And also, we need to be arresting them for fraud, okay? Yes. Because that way, if you keep doing that, they'll get jail time. You know, here they'll get a fine and they'll be out, you know, probably the same day. And the way you do that is you have to show that this isn't a game of chance. You know, gambling is illegal anyway, okay? in the street. But what they do is they'll have the 3 cups, and then they'll have like a little furry ball, you know, and you've got to pick out, you know, which cup has the ball under. When it's your turn to bet, there is no ball under any of the cups. Okay, it's just palmed away. It will be basically in there, and he will have £50 or, you know, €50 notes around his fingers. You know, this is, you know, how they do it, and you can't see it because they're so low down. But when it's your turn, the ball's not there, so that's a fraud. Okay. So, you know, there are some legal technicalities around that, but you've got to think outside of the box, and
you see, the thing that comes to people,
everyone.
2 people come to mind here who I think you don't get these sort of coppers anymore, like yourself, you know, who one really does spring to mind, who always thought outside the box, was Colin Sutton. And he might be worth contacting. Colin Sutton, you know, he does the real man. Brilliant. He really was a proper copper. And also the other one, Peter Blexley. Peter Blexley is the crime person for Reform, isn't he? Police and Crime, isn't he? I think Peter Blexley. He was in the
I know he's a commentator on police stuff. He used to work at Scotland Yard when I was there.
Right. That's
on the
right.
undercover side. I was on SO1. He was on SO10. But, you know, probably something you didn't know. I'm also a close-up magician, and what you used to get many years ago was the 3-card trick, the 3-card Monty, where you had to find the lady. Okay, now there was some skill in that, you know, where there's no skill whatsoever. Sorry, let's turn that off. Yeah, there is no skill whatsoever. You know, they're just cheating. They're hiding the ball away. Whereas with the 3-card Monty, you know, there's some skill involved in that. And you used to see that all over London. You don't see it so much now because they've gone on to the cup and ball. Well, very easy.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm hoping that by like doing this show, because this is going to go out on streaming and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And there's another TV presenter that we're thinking that you might like to hopefully talk to. The more exposure you get with this, the more people are going to be, I think, have their hand up against their back and going to have to act, because there's a dreadful reflection on tourism in the country. I mean, really, I think if you're abroad now, I mean, I just think it's awful. I mean, so we are allowing for the time slot for the videos and all of this. We're coming up to the end. I mean, so I'm going to ask you 3 things now. What do you hope listeners are going to take away from this conversation? What do you want listeners to do? What do you want the women to say or do who have been targeted? And the members of the public. See, I think you've got to be an upstander, not a bystander.
They need to come forward. We don't care whether they're criminals or not at the end of the day, you know, whether they're sex workers, whether they're shoplifters who've been perhaps forced into, you know, doing it as part of organised crime. We want them to, you know, to come forward. Unlikely they're going to do that. So what I would like to see is the police to go out and look for them. You know, they've got all the names, they've got all the photographs.
Yes.
Bring them all in as a big group and say, you're not in trouble. We've seen this. Here's videos, this, that, and the other. We'd like to stop these attacks on you, and you can help us. And they will, you know, they'll be more likely to do that as a group. You know. Yes. And there's tons of them there. I think also, whilst I'm here, I'm also looking for additional volunteers. So I'm looking for people that would like to help doing what we're doing. We just provide crime prevention advice, non-confrontational, you know, and it's quite good for anybody from 18 to 80, you know, on that bridge. Chat to tourists, friendly face. And for those that want something a little bit more and want to become a street detective, we can also train you up to be plainclothes street detectives.
They need to do this. Would they need a DBS, a criminal reference thing?
We do, yes. They will have it. They will need a DBS. However, there are certain things where they won't need that for. Okay.
Right, perfect.
But we do training and even things like bleed training. So just in case an incident happens, at least you've got some knowledge. But I think out of all of this, what would be nice is for the superintendent at Charing Cross Station to contact me to try and get this sorted out. And it may prevent this going on, and resulting in further complaints to the Directorate.
Well, it is actually hideous, and it won't be long before somebody is actually harmed and ends up hospitalised. I mean, if you see that old lady that fell over, it was not going to be long before somebody is actually harmed and hospitalised by it. And then the more content, the more absurd content that is wanted, the more risk these people are going to take, aren't they? And the more extreme their vigilante approach is going to be, which in itself is hideous. I mean, you need to nip it now, really. Look, Julian, please keep us posted of how it's going, and we'll put a plug out for you on X and Facebook and all of that, and promote this, because it's absolutely hideous. I mean, I'd love to know what people think, having watched the video that you put together, which is excellent. And shame on the police again. Shame on Sadiq Khan again. And so it goes on. So I really thank you. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw those videos. Couldn't believe it. And thank you so much for what you're doing, Julian. You see, you're still a copper at heart, a real copper. Not many of them left.
Yeah, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about London. I love London, and I want to protect our tourists. Yes, I don't want them to come in here having a bad experience, having their wallet or whatever taken, and not knowing what to do, where to go, or So we're there, reassure them, and we'll even help them report crimes to the police.
Will you leave us with hope that there's somebody out there like you, Julian, and a team? So thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you.
Please keep me posted so we can come on again, like after, or if you don't hear from the crime commissioner or whatever it is, you don't, let's, because there's a victims commissioner as well, isn't there? The victim.
Yes, there is.
Claire Waxman, is it? I think she's called.
Yes.
I know her. She's good. Well, look, I wish you well, and please, as I say, keep us posted. So thank you so much for your time.
I will do.
Wow. God, frightening.
See you on the next one.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, there you heard it. Well, that is a real eye-opener for me. I haven't seen any of this, but my goodness me, every photo tells a story, every video clip tells a story. I think you'll be rightly shocked as well. Please contact me if you want to get in contact with Julian King. I think it'd be a fascinating thing to do, to work on his team. And I thank you for today. I hope you found it interesting. I found it quite eye-opening, actually, and awful how, the ethnicity of these people doing this is obviously a key factor. I feel. I'm sure you'll feel the same. But this is Marilyn Hawes, signing off from Heart and Soul and from Unprecedented TV, which you'll find on YouTube. Thank you again for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.